Hello, wonderful people of the world out there, and welcome to another edition of the Kpopcast. This is Supermatic, your resident K-pop b-boy in the building. How y'all doing? And I am, of course, joined by the amazingly awesome Steph. How you doing, Steph?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Supermatic. And I am joined by Pilo.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Fantastic Elastic Trio. It's 365, so fresh.
I love it.
Hey.
That'll never get old.
Yeah. So what's on the show for today, Supermatic?
We are going to be highlighting some more listener feedback, and then we are going to bring another great hit replay for all you listeners out there, and then finally, none other than the man himself, Psy.
All right, so last episode, we had some, I think, really interesting discussion between, co-ed groups.
Yes.
Right. One of our listeners actually reached out and contacted us. He wanted to remain anonymous. I guess I already gave away the gender, but he
nice.
Actually, yeah. Whoops, slip of the tongue, but whatever. He actually raised a lot of really great points to our last episode. So one thing that he pointed out is that actually, if you go back in time to the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a ton of K-pop groups, which were all mixed gender or co-ed. And he cited a few examples, and actually, when he cited them, I looked them up. I was like, oh, yeah. Like, everyone was co-ed with these groups. And I've actually heard of one of these, and I didn't realize it was originally a co-ed K-pop group because it's been around for so long. But he gave examples of Space A. Coyote was the one that I had heard of before. And Sharp. And Sharp, they've got a song called Tell Me, like the original Tell Me.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of others. And he said that, look, at the time, labels were looking at it as a way to, sell a new image, and it was really popular at the time. But the label saw that there were starting to become problematic rifts between the members, between the males and the females. Like, I guess some girls were evidently getting knocked up.
No way. Get out.
I don't know. This is what one of our anonymous listeners is saying. So I didn't look into it too deeply, but I thought it was just really interesting that, like,
cite your sources. What is this?
Yeah, okay. I'll do my due diligence next time. But on the whole, I want to say that, like, what this listener pointed out is that this was a real actual trend, and this I can verify because I was just looking through all the groups and all the music videos at the time, and it was really fun. Like, when I first saw them, like, wow, the production value isn't so bad for these for being in the early 90s and 2000s. And then the music, it was like everything DDR, like, that sort of genre of like trot house, happy dance music. So let's move on to our hit replays of this week.
Hey, Steph, let me ask you, what's making you hit replay this week?
Well, last week we talked about Triple H, which has two members from boy group Pentagon. And that reminded me, hey, I used to listen to that group. So I went back and listened to their song Gorilla, which I used to have on replay like all the time. It's high energy, it's playful, and the dance moves they're actually moving like gorillas. So, I mean, what more could you ask for in a K-pop song? So much fun.
Yeah, I love it too, just because it totally embodies that gorilla feeling, and it feels like I'm playing like DK or Mario, like the OG in Mario.
Yes.
I mean, like, from the music itself, like, it's got that gorilla-like percussion, and I've even made DJ edits where I add in Donkey Kong noises.
Of course you did.
Just because of it. But yeah, those guys are able to stand up on their own without Hyuna.
Thank you. Thank you. Took you a week, but here we are today.
Thank you for bringing that hit replay stuff.
My pleasure.
Like I told you, just checking out that one song, now I'm hooked. I gotta go check out the rest of Pentagon.
Yes, do it. Peter, what's your hit replay song this week?
Replay. So actually, I've got this song that is so ratchet.
You always love your ratchet.
What a surprise.
Shiz.
Yeah, it's that ratchet-ish. And it's Kilodreads. And it's this is me like doing like Google Translate, but it's a feast of reggae and hip hop by Skull and C-Jam, who collaborated on this track. And I thought what was really interesting is that it was produced by Ovatan, if I'm pronouncing that right, and another Jamaican artist, Da Vinci.
Ooh.
Cute.
But like, you know, this is a song you can appreciate both for its music video. Everyone, a bunch of Koreans are wearing dreads. Like, it's almost like one of these oxymorons. Like, I didn't know Koreans could have dreadlocks. But here they are in the music video. They found all of them in Korea and they put it into a music video. And the beat, like, it gets me hella hyphy.
Yes.
And, like, it's not even a hyphy song, but like, because it's basically out of soul. But I don't need to understand the lyrics to find that this song is
Totally.
dope. The flow of the rhyming and the rappers are just fantastic. And they could be saying really horrible things for all I know, but it's got a dope beat throughout. So give it a listen and give it a watch if you like dreadlocks. What's making you hit replay, Supermatic?
All right. Well, my hit replay this week was actually something I didn't expect to really enjoy as much as I did, but I was curious about it because it is a collaboration between two amazing females. We've got Exy from WJSN, aka Cosmic Girls, and Yuna Kim from none other than the now infamously disbanded girl group The Ark.
That's right.
Infamous.
And they have a new single out together called Love Therapy, and I just enjoyed this track a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, upon the first listen and watch of the music video, it's one of those, it's interesting because the beat is kind of more mellow, it's a little on the chill side, but then you've got Exy and Yuna both going back and forth between singing and rapping. So like they both display their range of talents here. And the music video, honestly, is just a rotating camera around the two of them just sitting on a box. And it's like, it's got a nice pastel aesthetic. So it's a fun watch. It's not like super complicated. But what really hooked me in is just the nice atmosphere that the song creates. And when I looked into the lyrics, it's actually pretty interesting because it's basically what the title suggests, Yuna and Exy talking about how sometimes love can just be therapeutic, whether it's through learning how to love yourself or learning how to love someone else. So, yeah, it's a really nice song. Go ahead and check it out if you haven't yet. But that's my hit replay of this week.
너 행복하면 그거면 돼. 어제는 미워해. 오늘은 더 사랑해. 더 좋아하는 쪽이 아파. 원래 그런 건데. 사랑이 더 복잡해. 너 행복하면 그거면 돼. 그냥 사랑이 받고 싶었어.
Up next, we're going to take a look at Psy.
That's right. We've got a double dosage comeback from none other than the mother, father, gentleman himself, Psy, because he gave us not one, but two music videos. And we'll be taking a look at both of them today. I'm talking, of course, about New Face and I Love It.
Right, so right before these two songs came out, there's been some speculation, okay, where is this guy going? Right? There was a whole presidential controversy. I don't know if you guys followed that.
No, tell us.
Low-key.
Actually, I haven't either. But
Dang it.
I'm sorry. You know, I should have done
Thought you were
more research there.
Keep us informed.
I only kind of read about it this morning, and I didn't have time to research it within the workday. So, but basically, like, Psy was sort of involved in the YG and Park presidential thing. So, like, you know how there was like money laundering going on?
Yeah.
And favoritism shown through the labels. So I think Psy was sort of like caught up in that. And I don't think there was a firm ruling one way or the other. And, you know, he still holds his position like, no, I am absolved of this.
Right.
Or at least nothing was done on his part deliberately or intentionally. What I think is interesting is, like, you come out with a humongous solo, right, that breaks all sorts of records around the world. And how do you follow that? And a lot of people were critiquing Psy following Gentleman, Daddy, for example.
Daddy
and
like
Hangover.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Napaljaji.
I didn't even remember those.
For all being too much like his other Gangnam Style. And I think, they said, like, you got to go back to the old school and be, what you were in your original days and do something fresh. But he's pointed out in interviews that was me, like, over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I was a single young man in my 20s. And now I'm a married old man in my 40s. Like, I can't go back. Like, this is me. And so he had an identity crisis. Like, well, look, if people are trying to tell me to do something different, what do I do? And it was around that time that he was like, you know what, maybe I'll just, like, hang the coat, right? Like, hang the Gangnam Style, suit. It was around this time that he went back to his YG brothers, his young brothers. What do you call the young brothers in Korean?
Sunbaes or Hubaes. I don't know which one is.
Hubei. So he went to his Hubeis, right? Icons BI and Bobby, both in their 20s, who, in Psy's words, showed him a whole new world.
A whole new world.
Yeah.
I had to.
So BI suggested that writing about the feeling itself, this feeling that, like, okay, I don't know where to go or who to be anymore. And that has been the focus, I think, for these two songs that we're reviewing today. And that I can appreciate. So instead of trying to live up to people's unrealistic expectations of, again, coming up with, like, a whole new viral sensation, he said, like, you know what? It's best that I just be myself. And that's who I am. And this is what I've got to show. And it's what I've got. That I thought was important to bring up as we take a look at these two songs.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. So how was this song teased? I mean, how was it promoted ahead of the debut?
Well, I mean, as far as I know, unless I missed it, I don't recall seeing any, like, music video teasers. All of the teasers that I've seen were purely images of just, like, Psy and the label and YG dropping these teaser images of, like, the track list or just images of a certain track. And it built up to the full track list and just, like, some concept art for the album.
Yeah.
So I think in a way they were promoting not just mainly these two songs, but the entire album, because clearly, like, it means something to Psy, especially the title 4x2 equals 8, because this is his 8th album.
Yeah, I might say that this actually was deliberately anticlimactic. Because how do you come off of that unrealistic, like, heightened expectations for creating, these record-breaking view counts and downloads and international reactions?
Sure.
So I think that's why YG actually, while they went through the motions of doing these very light teasers, I would say it's lighter than other stuff that we've seen from a big three label.
Yes.
Right. And for one that is arguably the most well-known K-pop sensation
worldwide,
internationally. So this was, I felt like, okay, you know what? Don't look at this as another Gangnam Style. This is Psy doing whatever the hell he wants. Not worrying about the international community or not living up to the expectations of having the reception from the international community.
Exactly.
That said, it still seems like he's trying to appeal to the international community.
Come on. I was about to say, like, wait. He still manages to do it. But I'm happy to know that he's not feeling as pressured to do it.
Yeah, it was, I guess it was a very sort of, like, cathartic realization that he came to in producing this album. This was on a long hiatus, and he couldn't do anything, sure, maybe because of the presidential controversy, but, like, what the hell was that country going through? Right? With the whole presidential, I mean, excluding Psy himself, like the larger presidential controversy. And how do you do a silly Gangnam Style Psy-like dance in that sort of political environment? So I think, he also held on, like, you know what, I can't do this right now, but this is a new face for a new president, which came in today. So we are taking a look at Psy's new face.
Nice.
낯선 여자애 낯선 향기에 Yes I want some new face 낯선 여자애 낯선 향기에 Yes I want some new face Yeah 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 alright New face Put whoa New face
So what happens in Psy's new face, Supermatic?
So New Face, I want to say they shot it in Vegas or somewhere like Vegas.
It's definitely Vegas, yeah.
Because
It could be Vegas or it could be the Macau version.
Oh.
You know they have the
Hey.
exact same casinos over there.
Yeah. I actually know it's Vegas because
Oh, really?
I've been there for a number of different trade shows.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, I know where they filmed this. I know where they filmed this. It's like I recognize each of the alleys and the corridors where they
Okay,
actually
okay.
filmed these things. So
All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just see pretty much Psy doing his best in his own Psy style to court a female as usual. This time, none other than Sun Neon from A-Pink, who I did not recognize at first when I saw her, because this
Yeah.
is a new look for her. Usually she's a little more reserved. But that said, like the music videos just seems to be a lot of fun silliness. A night out or a couple days out in Vegas where Psy's just courting Neon in his own silly ways, from doing his dance moves to doing silly things like being a chef or jumping into a pool. Just Psy being Psy, basically, all around Vegas.
Yeah, I think it definitely follows the Psy formula in terms of the line dancing.
Yes.
It has, you know how like Gangnam Style and Gentleman had featured a female co-star, like we had Hyuna and Gain, and now we have another Aegyo idol from A-Pink,
Yep.
right? I think it's so funny. Like it follows the same formula that we've seen for the other stuff. Like after the bridge, the dance includes more people
Yep.
on a bigger stage,
Mm-hmm.
and it follows that same sweeping formula that seems to be working for Psy. In previous songs, especially with Gentleman and Gangnam Style, the lyrics were actually hinting at something much more subversive, right?
Yes.
At least than the surface might, lead you to believe. So did you think that he was trying to say something subversive about Korean culture or another culture in the concept and the lyrics for this song?
Well, considering the background that you gave us, Peter, I mean, it is very possible, because also the timing of it. He, like you said, he drops this on the same day that a new president is anointed in Korea.
Right.
And the song is called New Face, and the entire dance and song, he goes, hey, we want a new face. So it's very, very possible. I'm not confirming or denying it, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Right, and the fact that it's not just him saying, I want a new face, but there's more and more people as the video goes on, women, men, everyone saying, we want a new face. It does kind of have that possibly populist feel to it around election time. It works.
Yeah. It's quite likely that, or it's very possible that we're overreading into this, and I think maybe we'll see more intelligent commentary come out on this.
No, not at all. Definitely not.
Nothing.
Not a chance.
Nothing after us. Yeah. We were the only. No, we're not that full of ourselves. But I mean, truth be told, right? There may be some other like really insightful comments coming out as people have more time to digest these songs. But what I thought was really interesting is like, as we mentioned earlier, like this is definitely shot in Vegas, and I always kind of loathe going to Vegas every year for professional like PR conferences, and it's usually not PR, but it's like the clients that we represent, and there are always a ton of conferences in Las Vegas because it's cheaper to hold conferences there because they subsidize costs for the conference to get everyone to go there, and then people spend a ton of money there. Anyway, that's a different story. But what always bothers me about Vegas, and by the way, if you're from Vegas, I'm not hating, like, this is cool and all, but as a Californian visiting, and a lot of Californians actually do this, they go to party and be seen. It's sort of like a sort of form of conspicuous consumption in a way that to me feels very lowbrow. Like at the different hotels and casinos that they filmed this, they were actually known for being like, oh, this is the fancier, more premium hotels in Las Vegas. But whenever I stay there at those very same hotels, I'm always feeling like, well, this is incredibly tacky, and it costs as much as actually having a real authentic, nice restaurant, but it's still tacky. So that's what kind of bothered me, and it makes me wonder, like, is Psy aware of that, and is that what he's trying to say about this whole culture of getting a new face? That it's just sort of a, facade, right? That we're pinning on to, be conspicuous and to be seen in a way that sort of betrays the authenticity of what it's trying to recreate.
Well, I think that was the exact message of Gangnam Style. So he's definitely aware. There's no way he can make fun of Gangnam and totally be on board with Vegas. So,
yeah.
I think that you're absolutely right.
Well, I mean, we see him in the the canals, and I forgot what
in the
it's called,
Venetian.
but I walked through, the Venetian.
Yeah.
And I've been through those shops out there so many times.
Oh yeah.
And because it's usually I stay like right up above, and then I just walk down and I get dinner down there. But it's like, I remember like looking down on those canals and like, why would you pay money to go on this like, this pool park ride to try to be glamorous? It's like, this is not glamorous. Like Disneyland is nicer than this. Like, and I think that's kind of what he was doing. Like when he was going through the canals, and then he sees what's her face? Nayeon from A Pink, and it's like, oh well, there's that. But before I go on my own like world philosophy and stuff, Steph, I know you had a number of points on this music video.
Sure. I mean, when I was watching the video, I got the sense that it feels a little more slow-paced and measured than maybe Gangnam Style, Gentleman, which just were all over the place and full of color and like these random locations. And this one, he kind of stays in the hotel for a while. He's taking on different roles in the hotel and just sticking with that concept. And I'm just so used to him bouncing around so much, doing so many random things, that I noticed that this one had a slower build up, and I kind of liked it. And then in terms of the dancing, of course, all of his
the dabs.
Oh my gosh, so many dabs. Like, I'm sure that someone has counted how many dabs are in the video already, and it's some absurdly high number.
There needs to be a video where you count it right as it each happens.
Or like you have a dab counter. It's like ding.
Yes,
ding.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And my question, and maybe you guys can answer this for me: are dabs still cool? Is that a thing? Or,
well, as a 30-year-old, I will say yes, but I'm going to refer
maybe I should ask someone else.
To Supermatic here. Let's ask Supermatic. So,
funny enough, like recently, because I mean, K-pop, of course, is a big part of my life. It's just one medium that I consume, and I have interest in a bunch of other media, such as sports, professional wrestling, comedy. And the funny thing is, consuming some of that media lately, I've had like noted celebrities in those fields, and a few of them have said that in their opinion the dab was left behind in 2016. So I don't know. I'm not sure if Psy can be the guy to bring it back, but I don't know.
I get that sense.
And I would say that he's not the one to bring it back.
No.
And I think he probably realizes that, because even if it is So 16, and he filmed, like, let's say, like, this was probably shot, for all intents and purposes, this was probably shot in late 2016, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or who knows, like, maybe early 2017. Even if he had the hindsight of today's, like, trends and coolness, he would probably still do it because it's so stupid and ridiculous.
That's true.
Right.
That's a good point.
Forgot it.
And that's why I love Psy, because, I love old K-pop stars who self-depreciate.
Depreciate.
Self-deprecate themselves, I mean.
Yes.
Self-deprecate themselves.
Okay. That's completely different.
Well, maybe they're self-depreciating by self-deprecating, but
A little of both. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're seeing here. Yeah, I mean, the dance was just really fun. Every time he does that move where his like mouth is wide open and he's like waving, doing the jazz hands and going from side.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
That one stuck out. I just laughed every time I saw that. So I guess the choreo served its purpose. I enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, on that note, I will say one particular part of the dancing that I enjoyed when I was watching the video is that whenever there would be those moments where he'd be with Nayeon and she would join him, and that look of seriousness she would have on her face while she's doing the same moves that Psy is doing. It's like she's totally committed to it, as if, I'm killing this, even though it's so silly and so stupid.
But that's the point.
Totally.
That's the point. And I don't know if that's supposed to be saying something bigger about maybe this whole subversive theory that we have going behind it, that you really can't take this stuff too seriously. And I don't know. I mean, what did you guys think of like the lyrics in terms of what they were trying to say in the song?
I was not too blown away by the lyrics. I think he could have done a bit more. I really like his creativity in terms of the metaphors that he brings out. But in this one, he was pretty much straightforward in the normal, you know, I like you, I want to bring you to my room, that da 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 da. I thought he could do a little bit more with that.
Yeah. Do you think he could have done a little bit more in that scene where he like stands up by the poolside and there's a fountain shooting out?
Oh,
and
yes.
It's like strategically. I mean, was that a bigger metaphor? Or is that
Bigger? I don't know.
I had to get a magnifying glass. I couldn't quite see it.
Oh man. Yeah, sure. Maybe you just need to, watch it a few more times and see the hidden messages, but they must be pretty hidden to me.
Require a closer look to see if it's still there. But on the whole, I think I agree with you, Steph, that like it was fun, it was goofy. I think there's probably going to be a lot more that I'll discover and more rewatches. I kind of feel like he was making fun of the people around him. Yeah. Like without them knowing. Especially, and really no offense to these people, but like all the bikini models.
The Western girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for the audio, how are you guys rating this song?
So in terms of the audio, considering this song just came out today, of course I haven't had as much of a chance as I would like to really listen and take in this the song before I would like to give it a proper score. But that said, for as little as I've had the chance to listen to it, this song is definitely what I would classify as a bop, if that's the word to use. It's catchy enough. Like I'm remembering more of it in my head, like as I start thinking about the song, especially that ending part, like or towards the end where it's like, "Hey, we want some new face." I feel like that's a sample from an older song, but I don't know where. I want to say it's possibly even like an old school hip hop song almost. I'm not sure. I mean,
the way they say it.
Yep.
Maybe not the exact same sample, but the way it's delivered. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And just things like that, of course. And with it being Psy, I mean, he always manages to make songs that, for at least for a time, like I definitely enjoy to the point where even if I don't want to, I'll start singing it to the point where I'll even sing it out loud and I don't realize I'm doing it. So I'm just not even really looking at this too critically. It's just that New Face was enjoyable enough for me to be thinking about it this whole day. So with that said, as of right now, I'm probably going to give it a solid like 3.5 because it didn't blow me out of the water to give like a full 4 or higher. But 3.5 is definitely because it's pretty fun right now.
Yeah. Between the two songs, I actually like the audio of this one more. Just because it was a little less cliche with the horns.
Oh, that's right, the horns.
The horns is what separates the song apart. If it weren't for the horns, it would just sound like every other sort of like, and I'm borrowing how Arcady of the Arcady blog, and he wrote this on his review on Idolator, that it sounds a lot like LMFAO-esque pop with a steady club beat.
Yep.
And I mean that's what you could say about both of these songs here. But this one is just, New Face is just a little better just for that, purely for the horns. Is it going to stand out to me? No. I mean, like, I'm going to play it because it's really easy to play for the same reason why those LMFAO songs are really easy to play.
Right.
So I would give it a 3.5.
I hear a possible mashup remix in the making.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's easy to do. Yeah.
He's that's so below my level. Like this.
No. What I'm just saying is, like, you will probably see a lot of other people making great mashups and remixes of this. Not for me. So we'll feel a lot of great stuff, I think, from the DJ and producer community.
Indeed. All right. So, did you give a score? 3.5?
Oh yeah, 3.5.
Oh yeah, okay. I was like, wait, both of them couldn't have given it 3.5 because I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Oh.
What? No way. Yeah. So, just like Matt said, the song was enjoyable. Since I watched it earlier today, I was thinking about it. I was smiling. I was laughing. I was showing it to people in the office. And it's just hilarious. It accomplished what it set out to do. And I think that even if I put it in my playlist, I'll imagine what's going on in the video as I'm listening to it, and that'll be enough. So 3.5, solid.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not sure what Psy could have done to make it better. I think the only thing that he could have done to make it better is not go with this genre, honestly. Or maybe have a stronger, deeper club. Could have had a ratchet electronic beat somewhere like in the bridge, and then I might have rated it higher because then it would crash over into like maybe more big room house. But otherwise, it was your typical club beat. Okay, what do we think of the concept?
Concept, I think, was funny, but does not compare to Gangnam Style. It doesn't have the nuance, the Easter eggs, the little clues. I feel like just could have had a little more creativity put into it, but still enjoyable. So let's see. Concept, I'll go with 3.4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to disagree with you, Steph.
Sure.
I think if my theory is correct, and it could be incorrect, I think this had a little more deliberate effort put into it for what it was trying to say and how it said it. There probably are a number of Easter eggs in this that we haven't yet discovered.
True.
And we will probably mention on our next episode. But you, our listeners, like if you guys feel like we're missing another major story, a major Easter egg in the song, we're all yours and we'll bring it up next episode.
For sure.
So I'm actually going to give this higher for a concept.
Ooh.
I'm going to give it a 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Interesting.
My critique, of course, is what we mentioned earlier. It's that this is not something incredibly new that we've seen from Psy. Not at all. It follows the same formula. He's wearing suits, even
he
in
might
different
even
ways,
be wearing
right?
the same suits. Someone needs to do the side-by-side comparison.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
But part of me wonders the way he says the main lyric in the chorus, like, we want new face, or we want a new face.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost grammatically incorrect. And I feel like I'm missing something there because I feel like that was deliberate.
Ooh.
Interesting.
So I feel like there's something more to this song that we haven't yet discovered.
Ooh, and something that just came to me is that what if he was wearing all of the outfits from his previous videos in order to say we want something new, but I'm wearing all these suits because I know that you also want something old and I'm stuck in the middle.
Hey.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. I just need to keep watching this. Then more brilliant ideas are going to come out. Just wait.
How about you, Matt? What do you think of the concept?
It's funny, like thinking about this, and I'm just realizing now that before I actually checked out our show notes here, and before I heard heard the input from both you and Steph, I realized that I was being a little more critical of this than I realized, because I will admit I was one of those people who had high expectations because, one, it's Psy and this has been an anticipated comeback, and two, I'm holding him to that Gangnam Style standard.
Yeah.
So I'll
Which
admit,
is already godlike.
yes. so I'll admit, like I probably had I had a lower score in mind for the concept of this going into everything, but
Sure.
after hearing what you, especially like what you had to say, and then hearing this background from Psy's approach to this album and these releases, that gives me a whole new lens to look at things. And now that I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking back on the video, and I'm thinking like, oh, what are the parts of the video that I enjoyed, or how much of it was I really appreciating for what it was? That totally flipped the script on what I was going to give the concept as far as a rating.
Yeah, and again, I know we keep saying this, but I really want to put a strong caveat. Like, I'm not certain this was deliberate, and I could be off on this, right? So, we're not completely certain.
Yeah, but even with that in mind, I'm just saying, it's like, knowing now that Psy deliberately went into this not holding himself to the public expectation, that he was doing it more for him and the true fans instead of those who are just like, oh, we want something from Psy, like those.
That's different.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and bump my score up, because initially I had it more kind of on the low end of the 3s, but now concept wise I'm probably gonna bring that up to also another 3.5.
The way you were building it up, I thought you were gonna be like 5.
Well, again, I mean, it is Psy, and I can appreciate what he does because it's pretty formulaic of his style. But that's not to say it's a bad thing. But at the same time, it's like it's not something completely new that blew me out of the water, like my very first watch of Gangnam Style.
Right? Yeah.
That's
never gonna happen again.
Yeah. So Arcady, he actually asked this question, right? And he was like, do we just take it on the country's obsession with plastic surgery, right? Or do we just take it at face value as a song about hooking up with a bunch of different chicks?
Oh, interesting. That's a good question.
Well,
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think.
I don't want to believe that it's the latter. Please.
You really think it's something more
it
subversive?
Has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is Psy's new face
Daebak or not? So New Face is definitely something I'm enjoying for the moment. I mean, of course, it just came out today, but that said, as of right now, putting it out there, it's Daebak. Definitely Daebak for me, at least.
Okay. How about you, Steph?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Daebak as well. I had so much fun watching the video, listening to the song, bobbing my head. Yeah, give it to him.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's definitely Daebak for me as well. Absolutely. I think we've learned something about Psy, right? And I think that you raised a point that what changed your score, Matt, was that it was very genuine to who Psy was, right? So this next song, I Love It, is almost like an answer to the age-old question, like, are haters gonna hate? And they are, right? Like, you just gotta accept that. And this is sort of like Psy's answer to say, like, you know what? And he's got lyrics in there that say something along the lines of, like, you guys who hate me for being weird or for being goofy, like, I love you. Like, and like, for those of you who love me for being this, I love you. Like, he loves all these people equally. And this is why I think we see it in the, like, album concept art. It's like, I love it, right?
Yep.
So, and you know what? This is me for who I am, and I love it. And I love Icon and Winner for pointing this out to Psy, that, like, this feeling, these, like, feelings of uncertainty, rather than to hang up and call it quits, and try to just be remembered for this one hit single that you had, just keep doing what it is to who you are. And that is how we have this Zika produced song.
Hey,
Zico.
What happens in this music video, Supermatic?
So this one is not as of a, I don't know what the word is, like, cohesive or something, because clearly there's a beginning to end for a New Face, whereas I Love It, I mean, it's a lot of silly fun, again, because it is Psy, but we just see him in a bunch of different places, and again, wearing different outfits, and he's just being silly old Psy dancing. But I will say, he's got quite a few scenes with pretty cool, dope backup dancers. Or he's surrounded by, like, some awesome people. I mean, there's one scene where he's surrounded by a bunch of flipping ninjas.
I really liked that part.
Yeah. And to your, we were discussing in the last song, like, okay, how many Easter eggs are we going to find? Like, I didn't notice it on first watch, and then on second watch, I'm like, wow, there's like this whole ninja battle taking place in the background, and then they run off, like, like Naruto at the end. It's like, what's going on?
And then also, like, towards the end of the music video, we see this quick shift where Psy is dancing and he's doing the point dance, and he's got a bunch of backup dancers with him, like, all clearly different people. Camera zooms in on Psy, camera pans back out, and all of a sudden it's a Psy army.
Oh yeah.
Like, everyone else turned into Psy. It's like, I didn't notice that at the first watch, and then second watch I was like, wait a minute, everyone became Psy. What the heck?
So yeah, I mean, there were a number of other notable guest stars.
Yes.
Yes, I thought you were
In this
going
music
to
video.
mention them.
I mean, I gotta shout out Mr. PPAP himself, Pico Taro. Like when he showed up in the video, I was like, wait, what?
Apple Pen.
Right? Pen pineapple, apple pen. And it's funny too because I just realized that in the scene where he shows up, he's of course in the middle and he's like doing his Pico Taro style
And
dances,
wearing his
but
signature outfit.
Yes,
I don't think
that
we would
gold
recognize
outfit.
him in any other outfit.
right?
He needs to wear that forever.
But then what's funny is that he gets to have his own highlight of that part, and he's doing his dances. But then on my second viewing, I noticed that he's surrounded by like this panel almost of like a bunch of guys in seats. But then you take a closer look, and all those guys are all Psy outfits.
Well, I think honestly, guys, and not to try to be like too bullshit like English lit class answer, but like maybe this was a critical self-reflection because no, honestly, like the Pico Taro is like facing the same dilemma that Psy is.
Indeed.
He had this viral shot at fame, and like how do you live in the wake of that?
Mm-hmm.
Pico Taro is asking these same questions.
Oh, yes.
And that's probably why he was put into this music video,
Right.
Probably.
to try to say something. What he's trying to say, I'm not quite sure yet. I need to watch this more and read the lyrics closer.
Yes.
Mhm.
But I'm pretty sure something is like that was deliberate
Yeah.
for these, parallel challenges.
I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if there is some sort of kinship there between Psy and Pico Taro. In a way, they're kind of like kindred spirits, almost along the same path.
Yeah, I mean,
But then,
how
I
many
mean-
how many people can say that they have been on the top of the viral world like that?
Right.
Like those two definitely
And-
have something to talk about.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And for the same way, even, right?
The
for
exact
being
same way.
really weird and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But on that note, though, I mean, of course, Pico Taro wasn't the only guest feature in
how
here.
could we forget?
And, if I may, I mean, I guess we'll go ahead and defer to you, Steph, if you want to go ahead and highlight the other featured guest star.
Was there
Yeah.
another female in this one?
Oh,
Oh, was there? Who cares if there's because I was all about Mr. Lee Byung-un being a
Hey.
guest star in the video, and he had a lovely, delectable amount of screen time. that
that
I
word,
was just loving
delectable.
it. We had the zoom in up close up on his face. We had him doing a little dance. We had him looking goofy and funny and serious and hunky and just all of the above in his little square. And I just thought it was so cute. You could see that he and Psy are good friends, and in the background, these are two Korean men who have broken through in a way to the Western and global stage, and so
Yeah.
I think I'd love to be a fly on the wall for their conversation as well. So I just really loved that guest star pick.
Yeah. and to your point, Stephanie, like, I mean, this was probably deliberate as well. Like,
Yeah.
here's another person from the Hallyu wave who has broken through.
Right.
Like, what are they trying to say about what is Psy trying to say about this? Like, what are these people, these co-stars, these co-cameos, clearly all have something in common.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
But what does it mean?
Mm.
Okay, questions for our listeners. Guys, if you know the answers, just give us a shout out
boy.
and we'll spotlight it next episode.
Yeah.
It was very similar to the last song,
Mhm.
right? But was it better or worse in your view?
I would say that it's not so much objectively better or worse, but it was slightly more my style. And I can't
see.
even put my finger on why, except maybe I don't like horns too much in pop songs. So I was turned off a little bit by the first one, but this one's like, yeah, this is my style. Okay, I can start dancing to this. I'm bobbing my head already. It's just something I've always liked. So it was cool.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like I'm so used to playing so many of these top 40 bangers. And this is right in line with like your 128 beats per minute electro house song, like pop electro house.
Mhm.
And like, am I going to be playing this? Yes.
Yes.
By choice?
No.
Not all the time. I mean, it's passable in my eyes, but it's not great. Just because it feels so formulaic with, as Arcady says, everything LMFAO.
Right.
Yeah. When it comes to the song, the parts that stuck out to me the most that I'm just like remembering is that, especially for, I don't know, 3 or 4 times total of watching this music video, the part that just always gets me is at the very beginning when Psy first starts, and that line he opens with is like, "I just hit 40, baby. Turn the lights off. I'm 20."
I love that line.
I'm like, Psy.
I was like, all right.
I mean, I can't help but right. I mean, I can't help but like feel that on one hand, it's kind of cool to see him, at least I think, like kind of again poking fun at himself and like just being like self-deprecating, as you said. But the other time too, it's like, is he actually kind of like, is there an undertone there? Like it's I don't know, it's very possible, but yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of more in the middle ground when it comes to this particular song, because I mean, I feel kind of bad saying this, hope no one gets offended, but when it comes to I Love It, I can't remember much of the beat as much as I do remember like certain lyrics of the song. Yes. Whereas when it comes to comparing it to New Face, I remember everything as a whole.
Yeah.
So at least for me, like that's just my opinion. Like if when we're looking at these two side by side, especially just in terms of the song, I think there's something to be said when I'm able to remember one more than the other.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I feel just that same way, Matt. In many ways, like, you know, for this, like, I'm clearly getting old. This is just like
Peter.
JY. Oh, it's speaking in Psy's words. In Psy's words. So Psy is clearly saying, like, look, I'm married man getting old, right? And I'm still putting out these hits. It reminds me of JYP. This is Psy's JYP Still Alive.
Hey.
Right? If you listen to that song, like, JYP's Still Alive is like, look, you know, I'm old, I'm goofy, look at all these silly things I did in my past, but this is me, I'm still killing it. And that's what Psy is doing with this music video. It's the same sort of thing.
Yep, sounds about right. With the funky colored suits and all.
Yeah, right. Let's give our scores. So,
cool.
Audio.
I really liked it. I would dance to this. So if you see me in the club, Peter, I want you to drop that beat and I'll be out there. I'm going to give it 3.75.
Hey.
Okay.
Woo.
Supermatic.
Maybe I'll be able to remember the song more if I listen to it more, but as it stands right now, I'm just like, I'm not remembering too much of it. That said, it's probably going to be one of those songs where if it comes on, I'll enjoy it. Like, I don't outright hate it. It's just not super memorable. So with that said, I'm probably going to just have to stick it with that flat middle ground score of a 3.
Yeah, same. 3 for me. This is clearly Psy's shtick for a song, right? His last few singles have all been very similar in this way. But New Face was better in execution and that horn variety. And maybe that the use of horns is a subjective taste, but for me at least, that plays out better. And Steph noted on your point, like, well, if you don't like horns, then you're not going to like that one more. Okay, concept.
I remember as I was watching this video, I watched it right after New Face, which had this really tight, clear concept of the hotel story and the new face. And I just thought this concept is a lot less clear. The settings seem kind of random. There's a lot of color. He's switching around to all these different places again, which is what I recognize in Psy, but I had a hard time wrapping my head around what is going on. Really enjoyed the lyrics though, and kind of gleaned the story from there about all the haters and the antis and what's going on there. So having those two together, I got it in the end, but was a little confused in the beginning. Concept, therefore, for me, I'm gonna put it at 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Supermatic.
Yeah, kind of more along the same lines as you, Steph. Like, mostly in the same boat, because I couldn't really detect a clear story from the video itself. I mean, aside from just having Psy's lyrics to go on, and I will say a highlight for me that I found myself enjoying with each watch was paying attention to the supporting cast that Psy had.
Yeah,
like
that is the big thing
like of
about
course
it.
Pico Taro and Lee Byung Hung. Sorry, I fumbled over that so
you
bad.
You got it.
But yeah, those two, as well as like his amazing backup dancers and the
Yes.
other ones, like the
Right.
ninjas, like those parkour athletes.
It's the unnamed
yeah.
extras.
Yes, like
yeah.
the unnamed extras. Like shouts out to
Right.
them because clearly there's talent there and they did their roles well, as well as just like the small subtle, or maybe not subtle, but like just other small things that were in this video that, at least for me, I found pretty enjoyable, that put a smile on my face. Again, like I said, the Psy armies having multiple Psys in one sitting, like just small things like that make me laugh, that are definitely something worth checking out at least. So with that in mind, I'm actually going to go ahead and be in the same boat as Steph and give the concept a 3.5.
Okay. I'm going to rate this a little lower. I felt like the whole artistic value of this was trying to like hold a mirror to itself and like sort of say something about itself by providing its own like microcosm of itself. So that's why, you know, we see again the same formula of okay, it's got Psy's dance, he's got these line things, and then it builds itself off after the bridge, and we have a bigger line dance. In this case, like it just felt very robotic, and maybe that was also trying to say something in terms of having all those backup dancers. It kind of reminded me of, have you ever seen that like old house classic, Put Your Hands Up for Detroit, right?
Yes.
Love this. And then you've got all these girls all doing the same horn thing, right? And all the same horn outfits. That it kind of reminded me exactly of this. Or am I getting this mixed up with another classic house song, Calabria? What's the name of that song? Anyway, it just reminds me of a lot of really old Euro trash house songs, right? Where you get all these like robotic girls doing the dance, and they're all just being sexy for the sake of the music video. So for me, I get that it's trying to be like, this is me and this is who I am, but how it was shown, I'm still gonna just have to give it a 3.
Okay.
Taking all of this into account, is Psy's I Love It
Daebak or not? I think it's Daebak. Woo.
How are you, Matt?
Still Daebak for me. I mean, it's enjoyable, definitely.
It's Daebak, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was pretty clear, I think, for all of us for both these songs.
Yeah, so we gave our rating. We didn't talk too much about the choreo of both of the songs. I mean, how about you, Supermatic resident professional both of you are professional dancers. My bad.
In different ways. Well, I'm not a professional.
I thought you were a Latin ballroom champion, Pirilo.
Former.
Current, future.
When I was like 30 pounds lighter. So I put on some weight since I've been dancing.
Sure. All right, well, this is Supermatic. Want to hear what you thought of the dance moves in these songs. Which one did you like better?
Honestly, I feel like both are pretty have that fun vibe that like everybody could do. I mean, of course, this is one that I could see a bunch of cover groups probably doing and throwing into their sets. This is one that if you play at a party, if people know it, they'll probably do it. But that said, I feel like at least for me, New Face is probably the one that I'm gonna want to do more. I love it. I feel like it's just full of more room for like silliness where people can do their own moves. Because like I feel like I Love It had a lot more of just like Psy being pretty silly, whereas with New Face, I think it's just a little more cohesive in terms of choreography.
Yeah, I think that the choreo of New Face is more memorable for me. I actually can't remember any of the moves in I Love It, unfortunately. Even though I like that song slightly better, the Your Face moves were more tight. Like I remember the hand over the face, for New Face. I remember the jazz hands dancing around. I remember all the pelvic thrusting and the dabbing. These are just like these moves are out there and they're tight. And I remember them.
Right.
So, yeah, it's fun. But
yeah,
I wouldn't read too much into it other than he picked moves that are fun, splashy, that look hilarious and goofy when someone that looks like him tries to do them. Just like Gangnam Style. So it reminded me of that.
Yeah, both of them had Korean ladies and pools.
That's right.
Yes.
I mean, overall, like what we can say about these two songs is that they're both definitively Psy. And this is his shtick. That I think it might be a little hard to do this exact same thing for his next release.
Yeah.
I want him to be himself, and I'm not saying that he needs to evolve much further, but I think he's gonna get fatigue. He's gonna fatigue his base, even like his Korean listeners, if he does the exact same thing again. So this is good. It worked for this time, but like I'm not sure it's gonna work again if it's exactly the same thing.
To be honest, his base is probably long gone by now. They're like, this is not the Psy we know.
Well, he's been around the block for quite a bit.
Exactly.
True.
But he's changed since then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm his new bass, honestly. Like I was one of the guys who like, you know, had Psy on my Psy cell phone case holders for my 2 different phones.
So cute. Well, Peter, I'd be curious to hear what do you think he should try next, or what do you think would suit him besides the shtick?
I think the artistic message that he's trying to deliver in both these songs seems right. Like he should keep doing that. Maybe it's the song itself I would change. And we've heard different types of songs from him. Gentleman was a little more taunting, for example. And Hangover was a different type of energy than we saw. But both these songs, New Face, I Love It, and Gangnam Style, they're all kind of the same blend of the same song.
True.
So if it was more in the vein of Gentleman or Hangover, or to put it plainly, if it was just a ratchet electronic beat.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Who was it that had that original description? Was that Booster, or who was that?
I think so, because I remember it being introduced by you when you were talking about that as your hit
It was just a
replay.
really bad translation from something. And,
Yes.
And I've just using it to describe everything.
Yeah. Everything you like.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was from your hit replay of KKPP.
Oh, Miso?
Yeah, Miso.
Oh yeah.
Was it
Miso.
a translation of her song?
I think so.
Okay, that
Wow.
must be it. So maybe something with a little more texture, because like really honestly,
texture.
because like you hear like the grunge, not grunge, the grunge is not the right word, but like distortion, and the sound wave looks a lot different for songs that are a little more distorted. And you notice this as a DJ, like you play dubstep stuff, and it's like it's almost like this fat stack of like, you know, waveforms attacking, you know, your waveform, right? And you're like, oh, I've got this dubstep song coming up, and you see the like the kick drum and the snare, and then the drop hits, and then it's like this is like almost this like black line, like solid black line, or it with like no peaks and valleys, right? No, I don't think it needs to go that far, but I think if it had a bit more of those raspier moments. We saw this with CLC's Hobgoblin.
Yes.
That also had a little bit of more of that texture. So I think I might like that in a future Psy song, and one that has a deeper, bassier drop. I've played remixes of Psy's other stuff, and I've played like trap remixes of Psy's stuff, and that stuff is dope. That stuff is banging.
Oh yeah, he could do it.
Yeah, as a remix, it worked really well. So as an original for a future Psy single, if we saw something along those lines, I think that'd do to his favor, and that it's different. But he can still give the artistic message, still do a goofy concept, I think, in the same way. And even the dance, quite frankly, a lot of the dances it would have to be adjusted slightly, but they would probably still work.
Yeah.
So.
All right, for sure. I mean, that would definitely be something to look forward to if he starts going in that direction.
Yeah, we'll see how it feels. I mean, but on that note, like, how are people receiving this song? I feel like he was a polarizing figure to begin with, right? Like, K-popers were like, oh god, like, I don't want this guy representing K-pop, right? I think a lot of people feel that way. At the same time, like, that may be true. Like, I think for like non-Koreans and your only impression of K-pop is Psy, that's not representative of the genre as a whole. But neither are any of these other K-pop songs we're looking at, quite honestly. Because these other K-pop songs, it's like, well, this is an R&B single, and this is a, EDM drop, and this song is a ballad, but they're all under this big umbrella term of K-pop.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine to still call Psy K-pop, even though you don't want people thinking that this is all of K-pop. But we've been following this guilty fallacy like all along.
Wow.
So I think it's fine. But for what Psy does for K-pop, he is subversive for the genre and other broader political, socio-political things, which I really like.
Yes.
And he does it in a way that's self-deprecating and humorous. And he's a fat man, which makes me wonder how he stays fat with all the crazy dancing he does. But that's not an image we see in K-pop.
No.
It's
Never.
a less common seen image in K-pop, and I want to see, more fat guys, ugly fat guys in K-pop. No, not necessarily that, but what I'm saying is like we need something that goes beyond the aegyo and beyond the hot body 6-pack, dude. So
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, good luck with that. That's not happening.
if that may never happen, at least I've got Psy
Yep.
in JYP. So that's it for this episode of the K-Popcast. Supermatic, what's going on next week?
So next week, of course, we'll be bringing you more of the K-Popcast that you love, and we are definitely going to be checking out the latest comeback from none other than Twice and their new single, Signal. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, all right. And if you guys, again, we've asked for your feedback in all sorts of different places. You know how to get in touch with us. I'm at DJ Peter Lowe.
All right, and I am at S Parker 2.
And I'm at Supermatic. Feel free to find any and all of us on Twitter, as well as the official Kpopcast Twitter at the Kpopcast.
All right, we'll catch you guys there on next week's episode.
See ya.
Baby, baby, not more. 좀 아는 you know what I'm saying. 오빤 강남 스타일. 오빤 강남 스타일.